Hello everyone, welcome back to the second part of the REST Countries API challenge, and today I'm going to try and finish everything. So I'm going to create my dark mode toggle, and I'm going to deal with my search input as well as my individual countries page. And I think I'm also going to add a button to remove a country. So before we get started, there are a few things that I'd like to mention. Between now and the last video, I actually didn't commit my changes to GitHub, so when I wanted to record this video, I didn't have my folder. So I had to redo everything, and I'm going to go over the code in a few minutes just to show you the changes that may or may not have been there. And then this is my API that I have open because we're going to need this information, of course. And then this is the website, and the reason why I have this website open is because for our country page, for our country component, we're going to need this to get the country information. So let me just open these two right there. So this is my the folder that you download from Frontend Mentor, and this is my workspace. So before I get started, there are a few things that I like to do so that I don't have to keep switching windows. So I'm just going to copy my design folder, copy this and paste it there like that, and then I'm going to grab my git ignore. I'm going to grab everything. I'm going to come in here and I'm going to paste it below this, and then I'm going to change this to line 29, and then I'm going to change this to line 35 and 36, just so that it doesn't confuse anyone who's looking through your file folders. And then I'm going to grab my readme and my StyleGuide markdown files. I'm going to copy them, and I'm just going to paste them inside there like that. Okay, so once you do that, we can just close this down, and then we can place this to the side. And let me see, I already started my development server using npm start, so it's already running, so you can do that before we begin. And let me just go over my code to show you what may or may not have changed. Remember to save that. So in my public folder, I only have the index.html. I changed my, actually let me increase the font size. I changed my theme color to the dark gray theme color that you have this right here. So you can do that or not, it doesn't really matter. And then I changed my description, and I linked Font Awesome. The reason why I linked Font Awesome is because of this icon right there, really only this icon practically. And you can use React icons if you want, if you know how to use React icons, but I'm going to use Font Awesome because it's much easier. You can just link the CDN and then you can use the icons directly. And then I think that will be it for the index.html. So I'm going to jump into my source folder, into my components folder. I have my countries component as always. As you can see, we imported useState and useEffect. We have our URL to fetch our data, and this is my state values, and this is my useEffect. In the last video, I may have placed this above like this. You can also place it inside the useEffect, but it doesn't really matter. It's all a matter of preference. And then this is my countries class that I'm returning a section of, which contains everything inside this, the flags and all the details. And then I'm rendering them in an article with the div. This is the image and the h4s, as you can see. I think this is more or less the same as we did in the last video. Okay, so we can continue to look through that, and I think that will be it for this. I'm going to place a timestamp in the description in case you want to skip all of this. And then in my filter function, not my filter function, but my filter component, I have a form. So the form is the casing for everything inside here. I have my input here with the type of search, and then I have another div with the class of select, and then I have my select with my options, each one of them, and this renders this as well as the input that you have right there. So you can close this. You can look through our header, and our header component just returns an h1 and our icon from Font Awesome, which has a class of FAS and FA-moon like that. And then in our app.js, we just import our components and we render them. And in our index.css, of course, this contains all our styling. Now I think the most major difference that we'll have is actually our class names, but I don't think that really matters if you're going to style it by yourself. If you want to use the styles that I have here, you can just grab them. You can see where I've placed them and you can grab them, but to be honest, it doesn't really matter because you can style them on your own. Okay, so I think that will be it. and let me just confirm. In my index CSS, let me go to the top. I have my font, of course, and I have my variables set up at the top, the primary colors. Now the reason why I did this is because for the dark mode toggle, we just want to change the color in one place. We don't want to have to keep on scrolling down and checking where we have our color and changing it manually. We don't want to do that. So I'm just going to set up another class that we are going to set up in a moment. We're going to set up another class and then move these colors down for the light theme and everything else. So I think in the last video we ended by installing React Router DOM, which I actually did. As you can see, I have React Router DOM version 5.2. And to get started, I'm going to go into my app.js like that, and I'm going to go here and I'm going to say import. We're going to import a few things. We're going to import browser router as the router like that, as the router, and then we're going to import the route like that, and this comes from React Router DOM. And then in order for this to work, we need to place our entire component inside the router tags like that. So I'm going to just go there inside the router tags, and the reason why this works, I only change it in one place and it changes at the end, is because of an extension called auto rename tag. You can search for it and install it. And then I'm going to set up my routes. Okay, so I'm going to remove this for now, and I'm going to say for the first route I want to display my country's component, right? Oops. I want to display my country's component, and the path for this will be the slash, which will be the home page. And because I don't want any errors, I'm going to add an exact prop so that only when the forward slash is the route that is navigated to, that's when the country's component will be displayed. And then another thing, I want to move this down because I don't want the filter to be available when we are looking at our individual country's component. Right. And I'm just going to leave my header at the top because I want the header to appear on every page. So I'm going to save that, and this should still work, so we are okay. And then let me just move this to the side a bit. Let me place it like that. Okay, so what do I want to do next? I want to create my country component. So country.js. Don't get confused, this is countries and this is country, individual country. And I'm going to say RAFCE, and then I'm going to return my fragment with just an H1 saying country data like that, so we can see if it actually works. And then inside my countries.js, we're going to import something called a link, and I'm going to place it at the bottom. So I'm going to say link, and you can see it gives me the option to auto import, and the link is a component that comes from React Router DOM. So I'm just going to say auto import it, and if you go back to the top, you'll find that it has imported it as a named export from React Router DOM like that. So I'm going to link this, and this too will be going to a route that we're going to create. Actually, let me create this route first so that you understand why we're doing this. So I'm going to go back into my app.js, and I'm going to create another route like that. And this route will be a bit unique because the path for this will go to, I want it to go to slash countries and then forward slash and then the name of the country like that. So remember, this is a double column that we have right there. And then we are going to render a children's prop, a unique children's prop, and inside this children's prop, then we want to now render the component that we want, which is going to be our country component like that. And then I'm going to save this. Now this path, okay, country is not defined, so we need to import this. So import that country like that. Now remember this path, please remember this path. You can have the slash countries, or you can choose to remove it, but I just want to have it. So slash countries and then colon and then the name. So this is the path that we're going to place in our countries right there. So I'm going to place it inside curly braces, and then I'm going to have template literals so that I can have the variable. And the reason why I want to have the variable is because this is dynamic. It changes with each individual country. So I want to grab it as a variable. So I'm going to say this, the path for this is slash countries and then forward slash, and I'm going to say place my variable like that, and I want to grab the name like that. Okay. Remember, please remember this: if you had the forward slash countries in your app.js, then also have the forward slash countries in your countries.js. If you didn't have this, if you removed it, please also remove it from here, otherwise it won't work. So I'm going to save that, and then for the text, for the link, I'm just going to say learn more like that, which it should appear right there. I don't know whether you can see it, but probably you can see it on your screen. And if I just hover over it, you can see that on the bottom left of the browser, then the root appears. And if I try to navigate to that page, then you see we have country data, which are rendering from our country.js. We're just rendering this. And then I'm also going to place a link here to return to the home page, but I'm going to do that in a moment. And then if I try to do that for any other country, it goes to the more countries page for that country. Okay, so let me just add a class name to this because I want to style it some more. And I'm going to go here and I'm going to give this a class name of btn like that. And then I want to create a button with a class of btn as well, so the same styling as this. And the reason I'm creating this button is because this is the button that we're going to have to remove the country. So I'm just going to say remove country. Let me change this capital M like that. And then we're going to have an on click event on this button. And I'm going to set up my inline function like that. And I'm going to say remove country. Remove the country by the numeric code. I don't know whether you remember this numeric code, but it's something that is structured from our data. Okay, and then for the text, okay, the text says remove country, so we need to create this function, otherwise our application will break. So I'm going to go to the top below my use effect. I'm going to say const remove country, and we want to target our numeric code inside our parameters. The reason why we want to target our numeric code because it's unique for every country. So I'm going to create another variable called new country like that, and I'm going to set that to countries.filter. And for every individual country, then we want to return our what am I doing? Let me place this full screen, it's confusing me. So for every individual country, we want the country.numeric code, which is not equal to the numeric code for the country that we have clicked on. And then we're just going to set our countries to new country like that. And then once we set that to new country, then we can save that, and let's see if that works. Numeric code is not defined, and the reason for that is because this has a C, so numeric code like that. And if you say remove country, then you can see that it works, so our function works. So let me just place both of these buttons inside a div so that I can style them further, and inside this. So I'm going to grab this up to here, and I'm going to place this inside a div with a class of buttons like that, so that I can display them as flex and justify content to space between so that they can be end to end. So let me just do that in my index CSS, and I'm going to place it as a global variable. So I'm going to say for the buttons, I want to display flex, align item center, and justify content to space between like that, as you can see. And then I'm going to go inside my buttons class, and I want my btn. Actually, let me make the btn a global style because probably we're going to use it a few more times. And I'm going to say background color, set that to what was my variable name, what was this, set that to this. Let me grab that background color, set it to that. And I'm going to say so this is not what I wanted to do. This is not what I wanted to do. I wanted to grab this dark bg color, so I'm going to set that to a variable called dark bg color like that. And then I'm going to set a padding of 5 pixels all around, set the cursor to pointer, set the text decoration to none so that it removes the underline that we have here, set the color to white, save that, let's see. And then once I do that, I'm going to add a border of 2 pixels solid and the same dark BG color like that, which will remove our border. And let me add a border radius of 4 pixels all around like that. And let me target the hover state for this. So I'm going to say for the hover I want the background color to be white. Let's say that. And then let me change the text color to our dark BG color like that. Let's see how that looks. And that looks fine. That looks fine. Okay, I think that will be it. Let me just add a transition on the background color of 0.2 seconds like that. And you can see our remove country works and our learn more button works. So we can begin to go into our country.js, our country component. So let me just close this like that, and then I'm going to import link. I'm going to import link from, I can type link from React Router DOM like that. The reason why I'm importing this link is because I want to have a back button on the country component. So I'm going to just place it at the top. I'm going to say place a link like that, and the two for this, the two prop, this will go into our home page, and I'm going to say I want an icon, a font awesome icon. So I'm going to give it a class of i.fas and fa-arrow left like that, which will place a left arrow. And then for the text for the link, I'm just going to say back home like that, and it should appear as we can see. And then let me also give this a class name of btn, which we just styled like that, and I'm going to also give it another class of btn-light so that it doesn't blend with the background color. I'm going to style it a bit more. So let me save that. Let me open my index css. Let me grab my btn light.btn-light and change the background color to this color, so article color. Okay, to article color like that, and it's just a bit lighter and it's more visible. Let me also change the border of 2 pixels solid, and my article color once again, so that the border goes away like that. Okay, so let's actually deal with our country.js, and the first thing that I'm going to do is import use state and use effect from React Router DOM, not from React Router DOM but from React like that. And then I'm going to set up my state values, so const country and set country equals to use state, and we're going to have an empty array because we're going to fill it in when we fetch our data. So I'm going to set up my use effect, set up my callback function, and then set up an empty dependency array so that it only runs once on the initial render. And I'm going to have my function inside which will fetch the data. So I'm going to say const fetch country data equals to asynchronous, so asynchronous function like that. And we're going to be targeting let me just check what I call this function in my countries.js so that I don't have two functions with the same name. So this is fetch countries, okay, like that. And I'm going to have a const response equals to await fetch. Now the URL that I was telling you about is the one that I'm going to grab now. So this URL like this, I'm going to copy that, and then I'm going to paste it inside template literals like that, and I'm going to add a $sign like that, and I'm going to say curious. I'm just going to leave it for now because this means it's deprecated, but I don't think it matters. The reason why is because we're going to import another React hook from React Router DOM, which will, I think it should handle this. So I'm just going to say this, we are waiting the fetch from this. So I'm going to say const country equals to await response.json like that, and then I'm going to set my country data to our country that we fetch like that. Now if you save this and run this, you might notice that you might get an error, and I'm specifying that you might. Let me see if we actually do like that, because unexpected use of name. So the reason why is because this name is actually the parameter that we have in our address bar. So for this is Afghanistan, so that is the name of the country. So we need to grab this name, and then we need to check for the country that matches the name and then display the data. So we're going to import another hook called use params, like that, and this comes from React Router DOM, not from React. Use params comes from React Router DOM. So I'm going to set up my name variable like that, and I'm going to set it to use params like that. And before you use params, I think you had to do props.match.params, but I think this is much easier, and that fixes that, as you can see. So let's save that, and let's hope that it displays the country data like that. And then just to show that we actually fetch our data, let me remember to call my function. So fetch country data like that. We can log the country, not log. We can log our country data to see what we get. So let me look at that and place this to the bottom. Increase this size, and go to our console. And you can see that we only get an array of one item, which is the name of the country. If I were to go back and check for another country, so let's go to alliance like that, and you get another array of one country. So let me just remove this because it's populating the console too much. So it's another country, and just remove this console log like that. Should reload this and it should go away, and excellent. So let me check again for a random country like that, and you can see that we only return one array like that instead of 250 arrays. So that's good, that's working, which means that now we can begin to destructure our data and display it appropriately. Okay, so we can go into our country.js and start working on our return. So I'm going to return a section. Let's see, I'm going to return a section with a class of country like that, and then I'm going to map over my country data. So this data that we're getting from this, I'm going to map over my country data, so country.map. And for every individual country, I'm going to return a few things. I'm going to destructure them, and of course we want to destructure our numeric code for our unique value, and then we want to return our flag. And let me just place this full screen so that I can open this up and we can see what we get. Just place this to the side like that. So once we get our flag, then we are going to get our name of the country like so. Squeeze this in. We're going to return the name of the country. We're going to return the native name. Let me confirm what this is called. Native name. It's called native name, as you can see right there. So native name, and then population like that, and then region and sub-region. I think it's lowercase. Let me just confirm if sub-region is lowercase. So let's find sub-region, and it's lowercase. Okay, so we are fine. And then we need our capital, and then we need our top level domain. Was it? Let's see, top level domain, it's camel case. Okay, top level domain, and we need our currencies, and then our languages, and then we need our border countries. So let me find the border countries. Oops, what did I do? Please load faster. Okay, so border countries, okay, it's called borders. So we just want to destructure our border, and all this will be coming from our country, our individual country, which is, we have named C right there. Okay, so we can close this down, and then once we do that, let me place this back to the side like so. Okay, so once we do that, we can begin to now structure how our data looks, and I'm going to set up my return. So I'm going to return an article like that, an article with the key of numeric code like that, and then I want to return, what was it, I want to return a div with a class of flag like that, which will contain our image and our source will be the flag like that. And in case it fails to load, then I just want to display the name of the country, so name like that, and then set up another div, and this div will be the class of details. So let me give it a class name of country dash details like that. And then for country details, I want to return an h2 saying the name of the country like that. And actually this should be an h2, and then I'm going to return an h5. How many are there? There are 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, so 8 of them. So I'm just going to say h5 times 8 like that. And this first one will return our native name, but remember that it has some text in front of it, so the text then, okay, so we're going to return, close that, native name like that, and then we place our variable inside, so native name. Is that correct? Okay, let me place this full screen so it can be faster. And then for the second one, let me just write them down. Population like that, and then we can say region like that, and then we can say sub region, and then capital, and then top level domain like that, and then the currencies, and finally the languages, and then I need to place this inside a span so that we can style it to have slimmer text than this. So I'm just going to grab that, place it inside a span, not Spain, and place the other one inside a span, and it's called population like that, another span, and say region, another span, and say sub-region, another span, and say capital, and then we're going to place another span and say top level domain like that, and then another span and set this to currencies, and then finally we can say the final span and set this to languages like that. So now what I want to do next is actually set up my borders, because that's the only one that we have not used here, and it's borders with an S like that. And so in order to do that, I'm going to place this in its own div. Let's see, this is a div with a class of flag. This is a div. Actually, let me take a look at this once again. Not this one, but this one. Okay, yeah, take a look at that, and you can see that this and this are like two grids, right? So in order to do this, then I need to place everything between my name and my capital inside a div. So between this and this, this and this, I'm going to place this inside a div like that. Where does this end? And then place this inside a div as well like that, so that I can display grid on them, right? And then below this div, is it okay? Yeah, below this div, then I want to set up my borders, right? So I'm going to say, let me return a div, let me return an h3 saying border countries like that, and then just set that to borders like that. So I'm going to save that. Let's see if that works. And does it work? Objects are not okay, so there's an object inside here. So what does this say? Okay, so objects are not valid as a React child. So in order to fix this, it says on the native name. So on the native name, let me check our native name. Where is it? On native, really? Really? Native name, native name, native name. Where is ISO 639? Okay, on the languages. Okay, on the languages. So what this means is, as you can see, we have 3 languages, as in we have 3 objects inside our languages array. So I just want to grab this first one, and that's easy to do. We can just go to our languages. Where's our languages? And we want to grab the first item in the array. So we want to grab the first item in our array, and then we want to grab the name property from there. So we can do that by saying languages, then placing square brackets 0, which will access the first item, and then saying name, like that. So let's save that. Let's see, React child code name symbol. So there's still another one. Let's see symbol. Where's our symbol? This is for the currencies. And once again, for the currencies, you can just do the same thing. So currencies, we access the first one, and then just say we want to return the name of the currency, like that. Let's see, and that works. Look at that. Look at that. We have that. Okay, so everything's working. Okay, nice. Okay, so let's see, we can begin to style our country component. So okay, now just so that it doesn't confuse me, I'm going to create another style sheet in my source, and I'm going to call it country.css, like that. And then I'm going to import it into my country component. So at the top, I'm going to import what's it called? It's called, we need to go out, and then we call it country.css, like that. And then let's begin to style this. So let me just check this. I need the mobile version first, like that. Okay, so border countries. Okay, it's looking nice. So let me begin to style this, and it has a class of country. Okay, so I'm going to target my country, like that. The reason why I'm placing another style sheet is because the classes that I have in my index CSS are too similar to this, and I don't want them to confuse me. So in my country, I'm just going to say, let me have a padding all around of 50 pixels, like so. I want this to move down a bit. So you know what, I'm going to place it inside this, like that. And I'm going to target my btn light. So .btn dash light, I want the margin bottom to be 30 pixels so that it moves away from the flag. Oops, and I need to display flex because it's an inline element, like that. And I don't want it to go all the way to the end, so in order to fix that, you just say display inline block, like so. Okay, and now we begin to style this and everything inside here. So I'm going to do that, and we're going to target what's it called, my articles class, and it's inside a flag class. Actually, we don't need to even style the flag because this is okay as it is. So we need our details, our country details. Okay, so I'm going to grab my country. So for the country, and I'm going to grab my article and the country details, like that. And then for the country details, you remember I placed 2 divs inside this, like that. If you look at the design, then there is a space between each one of them. So I'm just going to target the divs. I'm going to say, let me place a margin of 20 pixels on the top and bottom, and 0 on the left and right. So they separate out. As you can see, it's looking very nice, very nice. Let me add this to 30 pixels, and then I can begin to target each one of these values so that I can make them just a bit lighter, as you can see. So I'm going to say inside this, actually inside everything inside here, I want to target my, what's this, this is an h2 with the class, with the name. So I want to target the h2 like that, and I want the font weight to be 800. Oops, that's too thick. I think let's have it at 600. And then I'm going to target my h5s, which is everything inside here. So for my h5s, I want the font weight to be 600 as well. And then for my span inside my h5s, so I'm going to grab this and target my spans inside my h5. I'm going to give each one of them a font weight of 300 like that. And let me just increase their font size because they're and also add margin on each one of the h5s. So for the h5s, I'm just going to say let me have a margin of 10 pixels on the top and bottom and 0 on the left and right, so they space out a bit, looking nice. And then what else can we change? We can increase the font size a bit. So let me increase the font size to 18 pixels. Move this at the top like that, looking very nice. Okay, let's do 16 here. Let's see how it looks. Or 18. I think 18 looks fine, which means that I need to increase the font size for this. So I'm going to say font size for the h2, increase it to 24 pixels. Actually, it's already 24 pixels. What am I doing? Increase this to 30 pixels like that. Okay. What happens if I remove this? Let me have a letter spacing of 1 pixel on the h2, and I'm just going to copy the letter spacing down, place it on the h5 as well. That looks terrible. Let me just remove it like so. Okay, and then we can now style our border countries, because as you can see in our in our design, you can see that they have some kind of styling on each one of them. So let me do that, and we can do that by saying in our border countries there's a class of, not a class but an element of h3 on our border countries. So I'm just going to it's below this, so there's no problem. Got that, targets the h3, and I'm going to say let me set a margin of 0 on the top and bottom and 10 pixels on the left and right. Let me change my background color to, what was it called? It was called in our index CSS, it's called dark beige color, like that. Actually, that's the background color. It won't work. So the article color, so article color like that. Forgot to place this inside a variable. Article color like that. Why doesn't that work? Is this working? What? Red. Okay, so it's not inside this div. It's not inside the country details. What am I doing? Yeah, it's not inside the country details. Okay, so I need to remove this. Okay, that is not what I expected. Okay, so let me check this. So that means that we need to, let me check my borders. Okay, so it's an array, so we need to map over the array and then display it as individual items so that we can style them. Okay, so that's why that's not working. So let me go back to my borders. Going to grab, actually going to just remove this, return the h3, and I'm going to say, I'm going to grab my borders, so borders.map, and for every border I just want to return return what? Return an another list like that, which will have the key of border, because we don't really need a unique key because the borders will always be unique. And then we want to return list items saying the border. Let's see that. Oh, this should have a return. This should have a return like that, which returns this. Okay, so we can work with that. Remove this background color. Actually, just remove this. Set this to font weight of 600, like so. And then let me see, where is my design? Where is my design for the mobile? Like that. Okay, so that's how it looks. So let's style our another list right there, and then we can style our list items. So I'm going to go for my country, and then for going to the article element for the UL, and I'm just going to say display flex, which should display this as flex, right? But it doesn't. Why don't you? Why aren't you working? The reason why it's not working is because each of these elements is a UL, so we need to display flex on the LIs. Let's see that. Really? Wow. Okay. I think I need to add a class on this so that I can target it. Let me think. Or let me try and do this. Let me return a div with a class of borders, like that, and then I can target the div. It's inside the article and it has a class of borders, display flex, like that. Okay, display flex, and then going to target this, target the ULs, and set a margin of 0 on the top and bottom and 10 pixels on the left and right, like that. And then we can add a background color of it's called what, article color, like that. And then let's have a padding of 5 pixels on the top and bottom and 15 pixels on the left and right. 5 is too big, 3 pixels. Okay, I forgot to mention something. In case you're wondering why this works yet we didn't import any style sheet, is because they're all linked. So once you have this here, you can just use the variables in any other style sheet that you have, in case you're wondering why this works. Okay, so I'm going to add a border radius of 3 pixels around that. Let me make this 20 pixels, like that. Let me place a margin on the top, of actually 10 pixels all around. That's much better. And then it has a box shadow, right? It has a box shadow. Is it a box shadow or a border? Let's add a box shadow of 0, 5 pixels, 20 pixels spread, and RGBA, not RGBA really, but we have that color right here. No, let's do this. Okay, and we can place it right there, and we say HSLA and place the alpha value to 0.9 so we can see where it spreads, like that. Reduce it to 0.5. Okay, a very subtle box shadow. And that is it for the countries page. Let's see if any other country works. And as you can see, it's looking very, very nice, but I don't want this overflow, so I'm going to place a flex wrap of wrap on the borders, which will cause them to automatically go to the next line once they have filled the entire page, like that. And that looks much better, much more accommodating, much more user friendly. Okay, so what do we need to do now? We need to scale it up. we need to scale it up, and I'm going to start scaling it out by about 768 pixels. So I'm going to say media min width of 768 pixels. Then I want, actually let me not do this. Then I want, where was I? Let me open this out, dark theme like that. Then I want this to display flex. Will that work? Will that work? I'm actually going to go to about 992 pixels so that it's a much bigger screen. 992 pixels, and I'm going to go into which class do I want? I want my country class. What did it display it as? Nothing. Okay, so I'm going to go into my country class, and I'm going to say display flex, align items to the center and justify contents to the center. Let's see that. We did not want to do that. We did not want to do that. Okay, I'm seeing a problem with this, so we need to just actually move it from here so that it doesn't bring issues, which means we also need to restyle it in our country CSS, which I'm going to do in a moment. So if this is displayed as flex, this is displayed as flex, but it goes like this, so what am I displaying wrongly? There's a section in class of country, so I need the article. I need the article to display as flex, so the article like that. Okay, and if this is okay, then it means that I can actually place this back and it should work. Okay, yeah, it should work. Okay, but I don't want this here. I want this to be at the bottom. So let's see, how do we do that? We can say, let me display grid and say grid template columns, repeat 3, 1 fractional. Nope. There's something I'm doing wrong. What am I doing wrong? Let me just work with display flex for now. Display flex for now. Okay, let me see. I'm displaying flex on the article class, but I actually want, what do I want? I want to display flex on these two items, on the flag and my country details, and I don't want this, which means I need to place this inside another element. So I'm going to grab this all the way to the top right there, and I'm going to give this a div with a class of country dash inner. Paste that inside there, and then I'm going to target my article class and then target my country dash inner class display flex. Okay, still not what I wanted. How does this look? It looks like that. Okay. The idea should come along soon. It should come along soon. So let's just continue to style this. Let's just continue to style our country details. So I'm going to grab this, go into my country dash details class, going to display flex on them. So they should place side by side like that. Actually, let me say display grid and say grid template columns to repeat 2 and 1 fractional each, like that. And then let me say for 992 pixels, I actually want this to move to the center a bit more, so align item center and just my content center. Should place them to the center like that. Actually, I don't want this to the center, so let me say, actually now I can just display grid on this. So grid template columns repeat 2 and 1 fractional each, like that. Okay, but then I don't want them to go all the way to the end. This styling is a bit oh, actually this looks fine. Does it really? No, you know what, let me just limit it. I'll feel much better. So let me say for the country items. For the country class, I want a max width of 900 pixels here, and let me say margin auto so that it centers. It doesn't work, so let me move this to media, mean width of 1200 pixels, and then I can paste that inside there and change this to 1100, which is a much bigger width, like that. And let me place a grid gap on this. Let me say a gap of 20 pixels so that it separates from the flag. Separates out from the flag. Okay. What else do we need to do? It's looking fine, but I don't want this to be on the same line as this. I want it to be at the top. Isn't that correct? Yes, it's correct. So what we need to do, actually let me just look at this structure, because I feel like I structured this wrongly. Okay, let's see. For my country details class, I want this to be up there, but I don't want that. Just give me a moment, guys, to figure this out. I'm just going to pause the video and then I'll be back. Alright guys, so you know what, styling this is a bit difficult, and I've just decided I'm just going to leave it at that, because I seem to be tired and I can't really think straight on how to do this. But I've added a few media queries for 1400 pixels above, just increasing the max width for this so that it doesn't go all the way to the end, as well as for this, and I've just displayed grid on both of them. I've displayed them as grid. As you can see, you can just copy these tiles, and let me just remove this. Yeah, this is much better. Let me remove this, and I think that's where you left me at. And yeah, I think that will be it for this. Actually, I can't really think straight all that much, so I think you can style this at your own time. Okay, so what we need to do next is actually, let me add some space between this arrow and the text. So that is in, actually, where is it? It's this right here. Just add some space, add that space right there. Okay, so let me see. What we need to do next is our toggle, right? So I'm going to go into my header component, close this down, close these down. I'm going to go into my header JS like that, and then I'm going to go above here, and I'm going to grab this. I'm going to grab this icon, and I'm going to say moon equals to document.query selector, and we're selecting the one that has a class of fa-moon like that. And I'm going to say moon.add event listener, a click event like that, because we want to add a click event on this icon, so that when you click it, then it changes the background color. So I'm going to say document, when you say I want the document.body.classlist.toggle, and we want to toggle the light theme. Let me say light theme like that, which we haven't created yet, so we are going to create it in a moment. Actually, let's just create it right away. I can go into my index CSS. So I'm going to go into my index CSS like that, and I'm going to go to my ways. Where did they display the body? Right here, dark beige color. So I'm going to give the body a class of light theme like that, and I'm going to say I want the background color to change to what's the light theme? Light mode text, light mode background is this. So light mode background, okay, let me just do that. Light mode background like that, and then I want the color to light mode text like that. So let's save that, and let's make sure we've saved that as well. So let's see. Let's see in our console. Let's start full screen. Let's see. Add event listener of now cannot read. Okay. cannot read property add event listener of now. F8 dash moon lighting toggle. Let's see, because what this usually means is that our script is running before our element is displayed on the DOM. That's usually what that means. In the header component, header boundary, no. Let's see. What can we do? How are these components rendering? They're rendering the header first, then the filter, then the countries. Let me try something weird. Let me try and place this. Okay, let me try and place it below this, and it doesn't work, of course. And the reason why it doesn't work is maybe because of these. Let's see. Oops, I did something wrong. So let's see. No, it doesn't work. What am I doing wrong, really? What am I doing wrong? I seem to be very tired. Everything is going wrong. Wait, what? So when I reload it, that's when the error occurs. Okay, so I think what I'm going to do, rather what I should have done, was add an on click on this. Add an on click on this, set up my inline function and say change theme as a function, and then I should have placed all this inside a function called change theme, like that, and voila, this should work. Reload this so that the error goes away, like that. Let's see if that works. Why does it require a double click? It requires a double click. Why? I'm too tired to start thinking right now. Too tired. So let me just deal with these. Let me deal with these cards as well as the header. So I'm going to go back into this and I'm going to say what I'm going to go to my header. So header dot light theme, and I'm going to say the background color. Actually, it's just the same. It should actually be the same as should it be this one, light mode background? Curious. So I'm just going to grab these two, grab that, going to go into this, and that shouldn't change because I don't have my header. So I'm going to grab my header equals to document dot query selector, and I want the header, the class of header, like that, and I'm going to say header dot class list dot toggle, and we want to toggle the light theme class as well. Wait, what? It's doing the opposite. Okay, there you go. So we need to deal with our inputs next, and then our elements, these elements. Actually, this doesn't have a background color of white, does it? Let's see in our design. Is this white or like dark gray? I'm not going to worry about that. So our light mode input, this is the color for our input for the light mode, which is found, where did I tell my input? In my form. So input this. Okay, so I'm going to say for the form and for the input, for the form, for the input with the class of light dash theme, and then as well for the form for the select with the class of light dash theme, like that. I want the background color to change to this one right there, and then I can grab my input. I can grab my input like this. It has an ID of input, not input but of search, like that. And then I can grab my select, which has a class of select, and then I can just copy this down and change this to input, and then change this to select, like that, and that should work. Let's reload it. And that doesn't work. It works for this, but it doesn't work for this. Why don't you work for that? The reason why is because we should be selecting everything. Let's reload that, and then that should work. I don't know why it requires a double click. I'm curious about that. I'm not sure why it requires a double click. If you figure out why it requires a double click, please leave a comment so that I can also find out. And I'm also going to do some research to find out. And then now let me change the colors for these elements, and they're inside my countries.js. Let me remember what elements were they. They are articles with the class of details. Is it? Yeah, for the details class, for the details. Let me just confirm it. Details. Okay, for this right here. So I'm just going to grab this, copy it down, and say for the light theme as well, I want the background color to change to what should it change to? It should change to article color, light mode text, light mode background. I'm just going to change to light mode background for now. Where is my light mode background? Where was I? Change this to light mode background, and oops, reload that. Really? Oh, I didn't grab it in my, so let's do that. I'm going to say for my details, I want, actually this won't work for query selector because there are 250 of them. So I need to query selector all of them, and they all have a class of .details, like that. And then inside this, I'm going to say details dot for each, so that I can map over all of them. And then for each detail, then I'm going to say detail dot class list dot toggle, and we're going to be toggling the light theme class, like that. And it should work, I hope. Reload that, and that works. And of course now we need to change our text. Okay, let me add a transition on this. So for my index CSS, I'm just going to say right up there, say transition the background color by 0.4 seconds, like that, so it smooths in like that. And I'm not going to mess with these buttons because I think they look fine as they are. So I just need to change the text. Okay, so where did they place the text for this? The text here, and I want to change this text color to, what was it? What is this dark color? To light mode text. Okay, to light mode text, like that. Let's see how that looks. Save that and reload it, and let's see how that looks. And it looks nice. Okay, let's see our countries page, and it looks marvelous. Except for this maybe. So let's change that. We can go into our country CSS, which is right there, and then where I placed my UL for the background color, I'm going to grab this, and I'm going to say for the UL, add a light dash theme on it, and I'm going to set the background color to what should I set it to? I should set this to a background color of the not the article, but of the light mode background. So I'm just going to grab this, and I'm going to say var light mode background, like that. And let's see. Oops, it won't work because I need to grab the ULs. Okay, let's see. I'm going to grab the const ul equals to document dot query selector all once again, and there are ul elements, and I'm going to say, just going to grab this, actually going to, let me place this to be an s for a reason that you'll see shortly. So I can change this to uls like that, and then I can change this to ul, change this to ul, and that should work. Uls has been declared. Oops, what did I do? This should read the details like that. Reload that. Let's reload that. Reload it. Change this. Class list of current of no what? What am I doing? What did I change? Let me comment this out to see if it all works. What did I change? Okay, so this should say uls, this should say ul, and this should say ul. And let's see that. Reload it. Really select class letter. What? Okay, let's just try this. Let me try this one more time. Okay, ul, change this to ul, and remember to import it, not import it but declare it. Go and say this is uls, change this at the end and say ul, and let's see kind of. Okay, the reason why it's giving me this error is because the input is not actually available in our country's component. Okay, if I were to remove this and remove this, then you would notice that it should happen. It still doesn't have a select. Okay, so there are things that we need to what's it called, to factor out. As you can see now we can see that it works right there. Okay, so how do we do that? So in order to fix that, I think I'm going to have to refactor a bit of this. So I'm going to go into my countries JS, because that's where we have everything, and I'm going to go to the top. I'm going to go to the top, and I'm going to say what? Wait a moment. Okay, let me just try to do this one more time. If it doesn't work, then I'm just going to leave it at that, and I'm going to try it another day. Actually, I just realized something, that this isn't actually available in my country's component, so what I wanted to do won't really work. So let me see what doesn't change. This doesn't change, this don't change, these don't change. Learn more, and these don't change. Okay, it's not really the worst thing in the world to happen, but you know. So what I can do is just remove these two and remove these, so we can have cleaner code. And for the final thing that I want to do is actually deal with this search input. So I'm going to go close this, and go into my filter.js, which has my input, and I'm going to grab my input. So I'm going to say const search equals to document dot get element by id, and it has an id of search like that. And I'm going to say search dot add event listener, and we're listening for the input event, and we want to target the synthetic event e, and we're going to say what are we going to say? We're going to say the value, so const const value equals e.target.value, and let's see if that works by logging to the console the value like that. So let's inspect it and let's see in the console. Let's see. Okay, so that works. Did I mess this up? Did I mess this up? What? Oh, come on. Let's remove that. Okay, so I did not mess that up. I want to add a grayish I want to add a grayish background color so that this can be more prominent, because you can't really see the borders right there. So let me do that by going to index CSS and targeting my light theme, and I'm going to say for the background color, then let me place an F1 like that, so that these are more prominent, because now you can see that they have some borders, but let me make it a bit darker, just around there. Yeah, so that it can be a bit dark and you can actually see the cards, the individual cards for the countries. Okay, for the search input, once we do this, let me uncomment that. Another thing you can do actually is you can just say value like that, and then you can say e.target like that, and it still works. Okay, so what we need to do is, because we're going to be searching these countries by their names, so we need to loop over every country name that we have. So I'm going to go back to my countries.js, and I'm going to add a class on the names right there. So I'm going to say class name of country-name. So once I add this class name of country name, then I can grab all the names that we have in our array, and then you can loop over them. So I'm going to save that, and I'm going to go back to my filter, and I'm going to say what I'm going to say, const country name equals to document.query selector all, and we want the country dash name like that, and then we're going to say country name dot for each. So we are looping over each country, and we want to get the name, and then we can say something like did I use this anywhere else here? Okay, I did not, so that's good. So I'm going to say if the name dot inner text, right, which will grab the name of the country that we have right there, and we want to be able to search in because no one really cares about typing in uppercase, so we need to transform this to lowercase. So I'm going to say dot to lowercase like that, and then we're going to use a method called includes. So whether it includes the value that we get from the input, so whether it includes the value, and then we also want to transform this to lowercase like that. Then we need to do a few things. Let me see. We need to get the name dot parent element dot style dot display equals to block. What this means is that if the name matches any of the names that are in our array, the name that we get from our input, then we want to display those names as block. And if they are not available, just going to grab this. So I'm going to say else, then we just want to display them as none like that. So let's save that. Let's see. Something's wrong. Something is wrong. So let me see. Is there a country that starts with S? None. Really? Z? Zimbabwe. Okay, so the reason why this doesn't display is because we need to go up higher. So we need to say dot parent element twice, dot parent element, and then we need to say dot parent element on the bottom as well, like that. So let's see if that works, and if I reload this, it will give me an error. I'm sure of it, like that. Okay, So I'm going to fix that in a moment. Let's just refresh that, and then we can uncomment this once again, and let's see if it works. Really? Really. Alright guys, so what I've done is that I missed one bracket here. Okay, I missed a bracket, so make sure you add that bracket. And then in order to for the app not to crash, then you need to place your all of this from here up to here. You need to place it inside this function, where this script will only run when everything else has loaded. So this is a much better way, so that even once you reload, you realize that it doesn't crash anymore. Now something else I've realized is that my input search actually works, but it takes a while to filter it. Maybe yours might be faster, but I think it's just that my laptop is now it's just really tired, it's just really tired. So I think that will be it for this video. Practically we have finished everything. We have finished we finished the REST countries API challenge, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I was surprised that this is actually a very in-demand video. So if you enjoyed the video, please leave a like and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video.